Healing is an ongoing journey, and I've recently discovered a way to change the past and heal the relationship with my deceased father in a new way that has been so liberating for me, so illuminating to my deep subconscious and my inner child that has reflected into my current life, but also, even though I'm experiencing things now, I'm also able to look back and fix how I feel about things that happened 25 years ago. This episode is really a reflection of something that I have been marinating on for months, well, years really. And it's going to be a look at some self therapy, some healing of my journey, but also I want to tease out some lessons so that I can hopefully help other people realize what it means to have forgiveness, what it means to change the way you feel about some trauma and some shit that happened in the past. And I recently went on a ride on my motorcycle. So it was a Saturday and I was like out for a ride. I don't know where my family was, but I just was like, hey, I'm going to go for a ride, whatever. Very rare situation where I have a morning to myself. And I was like, cool, I'm going to ride, going to go somewhere different, going to just blow up everything that I normally do on my motorcycle. And I just felt called to go to my local Harley-Davidson dealer. Super random, don't do it very often. It's about an hour away from my house. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take the back roads through all the farm country and, just weave my way there. So I weaved my way there. I got lost so many times. It ended up taking about an hour and a half, and I arrived at my local Harley-Davidson dealership. I rocked up, and they had a huge sign plastered on the front of the store that was said, closing down sale, we're closing down in 2 weeks. And, they have sales and deals on. And immediately I was like, okay, there's a reason I came here today. Like, there's no fucking way that I just randomly happened to come here and they're closing down. So it's like, this is interesting. I'm going to walk in. Maybe I'll get some deals. Maybe I'll find a friend. So I walked in and they did have some deals. I don't think I bought anything, but I was, just walking around and talking to staff. And every time I come across a business or I learn about a business that's closing down, as a business coach and a mentor, I work with startup businesses or women kind of at that mid-level of their business. I feel like an angel loses its wings every time a business closes down. Like, it really upsets me. But this was different. I was really fucking sad about this dealership closing down, and I started talking to the store manager, who I'd never talked to before. And I was just like, oh man, tell me more. Like, what happened? Wow, I can't believe that. I'm so sorry. Do you all have jobs to go to? Like, what's the situation? Is someone going to start their own dealership or whatever? And I just engaged with her in this super long conversation. And I really had no right to be so fucking sad about it. And, I think talking to her was nice because I was able to just express my sorrow and say, all the best. I hope you all find an amazing future. And, so I left the motorcycle dealership really sad. And, they had said, we're closing in 2 weeks, but check our socials because we'll have even more sales towards the end. So I go home and I had some events on that I couldn't go to the final closeout day that I really wanted to go to. So I just kept, here is where it gets weird. I just kept checking their social media for weeks and weeks after they closed, checking their stories. They didn't have stories because the business was closed. And I just kept checking and being like, oh, no, they haven't closed yet. I'm sure they're going to have another sale. They're going to have another sale. This went on for 3, 4, 5 weeks, I still think of trying to check their stories. Like, oh no, like they're still open. Like they're going to have another sale. And it got to the point where I was like really fucking obsessed with doing this. And I kind of paused and I was like, why am I so fucking upset about this? Why am I really, why is this hitting me so hard that I cannot let this go? The fact that this Harley-Davidson dealership is closing down. And it hit me like a fucking Harley on the highway. I have always associated Harley-Davidson with my father. And I have two conscious memories of him. One of them being I was riding on the back of his Harley. I was riding with him. I probably was not more than like 5. And we're sitting in traffic and I feel so cool and so proud to be riding with him. Like really proud, just like, whoa, this is amazing. This is so cool. I'm really happy to be here. And like, this is my dad and I'm here and I'm having so much fun. And I realized that I could not let go of the fact that this Harley-Davidson dealership was closing because I did not want to like let go of the fact that like my dad was actually gone. And like it felt like it was a piece of my dad that I was saying goodbye to. And I want to tell you how fucked up this is because the fact that like I'm still sad about that shit despite everything is really like the whole point of this conversation. So the history with my dad is hella traumatic. We were estranged for 25 years until as an adult a few years ago. I emailed him expressing forgiveness for what I perceived to be his abandonment to me and my family as a child. As a child, I didn't really understand what had happened. I was sheltered from a lot of things, but I really blamed him for not showing up in my life and being a dad and being supportive and being the person that I love so much. And he committed suicide 3 years ago. And when this happened, fucked up, I totally regressed back and I was like, oh, it's all my fault. That was my first reaction, was like, oh, it's all my fault. It's because I wasn't in his life that he did that. With hella traumatic, hella roller coaster, not true at all. Just a story of like an inner child who was like very sad and not understanding things. And as an adult, I always looked back at our relationship, at him, at like with sour vibes, with hurt, with anger. And in my childlike world, like I had made my feelings about him bad because he messed up and then we left and, you know, my life changed forever and I never saw my dad again. So like I have been processing all this shit for several years, right? And I did forgive him and we had a couple of emails until it was too traumatic and I cut it off. But still, like, why am I so fucking sad? Like, I thought I'd moved past this. And it was around that time where I was like really grappling with this Harley-Davidson dealership closing and the realization that it was like, oh, fuck, that's how I associate my dad. That I had a dream. And this is where it gets really mystical because I'm a spiritual person, but this dream really nailed it for me that like I'm allowed to take back the power of a relationship and of trauma that happened in my life to say like I can reframe how I feel about that and I don't have to carry around with me all the fucking bad shit and the hurt and the anger, that I'm allowed to let that go. And when I let that go, It is not only liberating, but it's uplifting, and it cutting that baggage off has allowed me to have better relationships and really lean more into what does it mean to love someone even if they fucked up. So in this dream, I was guided. So this singer, Harry Belafonte, was very famous like in the 50s and 60s. He kind of sang calypso songs, like islander music that really rocked the world. And I love him. I have so many of his records. And in my dream, he was singing to me a song called Philadelphia. And to my knowledge, he doesn't have songs about Philadelphia, but he was a very famous singer and an activist. So in the dream, he's like singing to me about Philadelphia. We're in Philadelphia. He showed me my old neighborhood where I used to live. So this dream was kind of like a past life snippet that I hadn't known about. This past life was kind of new to me. So he showed me this neighborhood where I used to live and where we used to hang out, and it was like all of these old kind of row houses that were brick and all these little beautiful courtyards that were now really decrepit and worn down, and there were all the trees were overgrown, the grass was overgrown, the windows were boarded up, and this was my old neighborhood, and this is where I hung out, and this is where I would host meetings in my home, and we would like talk about all the good work that we were doing. And this dream helped me see that even in like present times, like, yes, I was walking down the street and it was derelict and decrepit and like not very cute. I was still able to look back and reminisce and be like, wow, but like when I was here, it was good and I liked it and good things happened. And I'm still able to focus in on that positive despite the fact that time had changed things drastically. Physically, it was really different. So I was still holding on to the positive side of what had happened. And this dream really helped me see that even in my adult life, even in my current reality, my relationship with my dad was shit. It was non-existent. I didn't have to look back with heaviness or regrets or fucking hate him because of what happened. In fact, I was actually allowed to change how I felt about the past and look at it as something that, like, we did have good times. I did learn some things from him. Obviously, the motorcycle thing stuck in my subconscious, and it made me realize that we can do this in an instant if we want to. We can process and change how we feel about the past by just reframing it. And that not only changes our future, but it changes our healing journey to make it smoother and more balanced. And I really believe that it has made me a more whole person, able to see that fucking humans, like, no one knows what they're doing. We make decisions that in hindsight look good. We make decisions in hindsight that look bad. But we're all trying our best. And I think that when I focus on that as my perspective and how I choose to look back at the events of my life and my relationship with my father, I'm able to really dissolve those rearview mirror regrets and change how I feel about everything. And what started as being really upset about a Harley-Davidson dealer closing illuminated some healing journey, some healing shit to a depth that I hadn't gone yet. And I don't know that it's over. I don't know if it will be over. But this has really helped me to move past and to feel better about things and to hopefully become a more whole, balanced person for my family and for my children. So I hope this episode has helped you to share my trauma journey, to share my healing journey, and also the fact that you actually have the power to change how you feel in an instant and change your life as well. So until next time, my loves, ride safe and keep living your life bigger, better, bolder.